Hi there, hope you're all having a great day. I thought I'd bring you along for the ride. I'm going to test a new fragrance. I'm going to do a couple, but I'll just show you how I do one of them. Aussie Soap Supplies here in Perth have some fantastic new fragrances that I've been trying over the last few months, quite a few months now, and some of them are great. The testing process actually takes quite a long time before I put a soap out onto the market. So the initial testing is great, but then I do a water discount anyway, and I do a few different things before I actually get it out there and see what happens to it over the next 6 months. So this one, I am pleased to say I've been testing this now for about probably, I don't know, 6 months, I guess. It's called Bondi Beach by Aussie Soap Supplies, and it is, I'm pretty sure it's made in Australia, in Sydney, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It smells a bit like frangipani, and every time I smell it, I smell something different. I smell fresh frangipanis, and then sunscreen, and then perfect name, Bondi Beach. So I pretty much at my final testing for Bondi Beach, and I'm going to use that in the soap soon, and maybe introduce it into the classes that I teach as well. So that's a really good one. And so no discolouring, performed really well. This is about, this is nice and cured, I'd say. Oh goodness, I've got it written down on my testing sheet, of course, but it would have to be a good few months old now, and it still smells fantastic. So I love frangipani. It's really hard to find a nice one, so that's what it reminds me of, and just the fresh beach. It reminds me of Queensland. So another one that I tested, I don't normally do individual moulds like this, but I'm trialling a few moulds for Mother's Day, which is coming up in a couple of months. So I don't do my testing in small moulds like this, and I do have a bigger mould that I haven't turned it out yet. But I just wanted to show you these. These are quite cute, and the smell is absolutely amazing. It's also by Aussie Soap Supplies, and it's called Rose Petals. Rose Petals. I can't find what I did with the bottle, so it's amazing. It smells like really fresh, good quality rose water. I remember I used to get it years ago from the chemist. They used to make it up for me, and I used to use it on spray on my face and in summer, and it's what it smells like. It's absolutely amazing. Not a fake old lady, even though I'm old, old lady, not an old lady rose at all. It's absolutely gorgeous. So so I did try those, and so far, I mean, that's about a week old. So far they're curing a great. The one in the mould, I'm trying a bigger silicone mould, and I just can't seem to get it out just yet. I'm not used to using silicone moulds, so anyway, that's that one. The one today that I'm testing, actually testing two things. I'm testing a mica, which it's new to me. I don't know if it's new to Aussie Soap Supplies. I don't think so, but I don't really know. But it's new to me because I usually use Egyptian blue, but I quite like the look of this. Is a bit brighter, so I think that's Egyptian blue there. Anyway, and I'm going to also test it with Bergamot and black tea fragrance. You can see I've taken some out because it smells amazing, and I've got it in other products. I've been trying to learn how to do bath bombs. That's not easy. So I've been using them in that. It smells amazing. Bergamot black tea. The black tea part of it is very strong, but it smells a bit like Earl Grey tea. But absolutely gorgeous. So I'm really hoping that works well in this soap. So I don't usually test, as I mentioned, new fragrances or colours or anything in small moulds like this. As I mentioned, I did do these because I'm testing the mould for Mother's Day rather than in the fragrance and whatnot. So, and this is a blend of micas that I'm making up. I'm not happy with it, but it was just one of my experiments. Anyway, I don't normally do it in a mould like this because it's too small, and once the ingredients react with each other in a bigger scenario, I found they perform differently. So you don't get a true result unless you make soaps like this all the time, which I don't. Very, very rarely. I mean, I haven't made soaps like this in years. But I just thought I might have a bit of fun for Mother's Day with some small stuff. So I don't do my trials like that. I know a lot of people do. We waste less soap, but I'm pretty careful, and I do a fair bit of reading and research research before I test fragrances. So, and I do rebatching, so I very rarely waste anything. So I go for, this is the smallest test I'll do. This holds nearly 900 grams, and it's what I actually use in my class. So as you can see, I know you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but I reuse everything quite a lot of times. So this is baking paper, compostable baking, no it's not, this is just a normal baking paper. It's a bit stained because I've used it quite a few times, and I have had this mould as my old stamp for many, many years, my old faithful. As you can see, it's a bit beat up. So done a lot of testing, this mould has, a lot of failures, I can tell you. So I'm really excited to try this, because most of the, well actually all of the new fragrances from Aussie soap suppliers that they've brought out over the last 6 months, I suppose, a year, I don't know, time goes so fast, who can keep up? They've all been really good. Some of them I'm not 100% a fan of, but that's just my taste. I mean, other people have said they smell absolutely gorgeous, but because you've got to smell it, and my commercial premises here is quite small, I've really got to get along with it. But all of their stuff's been great. It's all performed fantastically, and the notes that they've put on the website are pretty accurate, so have a read of those. Anyway, without further ado, I shall go and do some testing. So this is pretty much my class setup, so it works perfectly for me because I have my staff divvying out the hard oils, and we don't use these bowls in the class, but it's perfect for testing because you do 900 grams, and it's you know, it's a full size, well, very small batch, but I mean when you're first starting it's a fab size to use anyway. So alrighty, let's go. This fragrance is a good performer and hangs around. I don't think it discolours. I can't remember. I did read the notes. It's written over there. But let's see. So I've got it weighed out there. Something's foaming there. Okay. Alright, get rid of those. They'll get splashed. And I'm also testing the mica, which I mentioned. Right. So let's get our hard oils. Tell my workshop participants, in such a small recipe every little bit counts. Got to keep the recipe accurate, and you can leave 20 grams at least. I weighed it once. The students had left that behind in the container, and that does alter the recipe because that's quite a lot. That would weigh 30 grams. So if you were not to include that into your recipe, so apart from that, all the soap making ingredients, these beautiful oils and butters are very expensive, so you don't want to waste them. Don't leave them behind. I need to go in scrapey. Okay. Anyone who watches YouTube videos would know exactly where that comes from. Scrapey, I can't help it. Righty-hoo, that's that. Now, because I'm only doing one colour, I'm going to add the mica in first, because there's only one colour. So I'm going to do 1 teaspoon. This is my testing. I have a set quantities of things that I test, everything the same. So this is full water. Here's my sodium hydroxide mixture. I've gone full water. I think that's 2.4. I think that's full water. I don't know, but I'm not 100% sure, but that's a lot more than I normally use. So no water discount for the first experiment or for the first testing, and then I go for a discount, then I go for a bigger batch and do a few tests and see how they'll go. So that's 1 teaspoon exactly of powder. It's a beautiful colour. Blue's my favourite. And then I haven't put the sodium hydroxide in there yet, so I'm just going to mix that in. I don't get my students to mix the mica in first either. In the class we do it later on. Oh, look at that, that's amazing. Because I want them to get used to what, because most of the students that come want to make soap at home, so very well having a nice experience, but I give them enough to learn, enough information so they can go home and do it successfully. Don't leave too much to chance. So I get them to make the batter without any colour in, so they can really see what is happening with the reaction and the way they're blending, whether they're blending too much or not enough. And I found that you can't really see it as easily when you're inexperienced or when you're a beginner. But you certainly can add the mica, so you can even blend that, but this is all dissolved because I've been talking. Okay, so I'll put the sodium hydroxide solution in there, just made up. It's been made up a while ago, so give it a good shake. Face away, lean back, straight down the spatula. To give it a bit of a head start. I'm soaping at room temperature. I always soap at room temperature when I'm doing testing a fragrance or anything, because I use my basic class recipe. It's got rice bran oil, which I've heard some people say it does accelerate trace, but I'm not sure. So it has rice bran oil and lots of olive oil, so it's good. Alrighty. So the mica is not doing anything. Very rarely does the mica affect. I have had it affect the batter. So far so good. Nice colour. Okay, blending. If I have a feeling that the fragrance is going to bolt, I used to call it bolt, like just accelerate trace or seize or do anything like that, I'll probably even do it like that, very, very runny, but it's not so much a floral, it's more of the tea, and it's quite earthy, and bergamot is like a citrus, so, and the soaping note said that it's good, so I will bring this to a very light trace. See how that's getting lighter with every blend, and I'm using the blender without it going. Right, so that's very light trace, maybe a little bit more. Oops. Right, I might stop there just in case. This is full water too, so I doubt very much it's going to accelerate. So excited. I always say when you're a beginner, when you're starting off anyway, you should never blend the fragrance in, because you don't really know what it's going to do, because as a beginner you're not that familiar with trace or with your oils and all that sort of thing. So I always encourage people to always use a spatula to put in fragrance, and indeed with testing fragrances it's a must, because we just don't know what's going to do. I found some fragrances are fine if you stir them in. You get a blender anywhere near it and it goes lumpy. It really doesn't like it. So I will test it with the blender just to see if it's going to do anything crazy under a blending situation as well. Oh, that smells lovely. Oh, so far so good. Yes. Oh yes, look at that. Nice and smooth and beautiful. I get really excited. I never get sick of making soap. So awesome. Alright, and I'm going to give it a blend just to see what happens. Look at those bubbles. See if it gets upset with a bit of blending. I hope not, because when you've got big batches I do blend sometimes. It's a slow mover. Alright, beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so that's a trace now. Light trace. I'm going to pop that in the mould. Love the colour too, it's nice. Perfect summer colour. gravity to do the work for me. I don't like to put it in a mould too thick, so you have to smush it into the mould, which just all sounds like too much hard work, so I like gravity to do the work. So that is just gorgeous. You can see it's glossy and shiny, no lumps, no ricing, no acceleration, just perfect. Quite a greeny blue. Let's try a few textures, and then I always put flowers on the top of the testers to see what happens to the flowers, because I've had fragrances that's been absolutely gorgeous, gone this far, and then when I put the flowers on after it's gone through saponification, the flowers look like they've been deep fried, and man, that is not a good look. So this is my standard testing. So let's see how we go for a bit of texture. Oh, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh my god, I'm so happy. I just hope that this is, cures nicely, as in the smell hangs around. Sometimes, all sorts of crazy things can happen during the curing process. It can change colour, like beyond vanilla, beyond the vanilla changing, it just goes weird browny colours, or it can start sweating. It can go, I don't know, just oozy, and the soap goes rubbery. All sorts of crazy things can happen, so you just never know. So there's lots of steps in the process. Just have a bit of a play to see what it's like, and it's absolutely amazing. Amazing. So I don't know if you can see how glossy that is. It's absolutely gorgeous, and that's the thing I get addicted to, is that glossy niceness. Let's get some flowers. What should we put on that? I usually do it with jasmine, because they're white and they are quite susceptible to going oily, if they're going to go oily. So another thing, because I made that mistake once by doing an entire slab, 8.5 kilos. I'd done my testing and everything, but I hadn't tested flowers. 8.5 kilos. They were just horrible. These were like they had been deep fried, and it wasn't a good look. It was really awful. I had to rebatch it because there was nothing wrong with the soap, but some of the fragrance had affected this. Yeah, so if I use, especially if you use the same recipe over and over again, it's not the recipe or the oils, it's usually the fragrance. These are so elegant. I love jasmine flowers. I get these from a beautiful guess what the cups are going to be. It's like an organic tea place online. I can't remember what it's called now. And they're really pretty. They're like flowers. They're not just all crushed up. Trusty ruler. I'm doing flowers. Especially because these are quite expensive. These are organic jasmine. It's quite expensive, so I don't want to waste any falling off, so cut. Alright, so far so good. And then I gel my soap, so if I'm going to do that with my big loaves, of course I'm going to do it with this, so I won't bore you with, maybe there's something else we can talk about, let me think. Don't want to give you a whole class, but anyway, that's how I do my testing. Test for the flowers, for the colour, and of course there's a lot more to look out for over the next few weeks and over the next 6 months to see what happens, because there's just no way I would want to put that out into the market to be sold, or let my students use it in a class, and then 6 months down the track it's just smelling really bad. I doubt this is going to do that, but I have, not from Aussie Soap Supplies, but some other brands, I've had that happen. After a few months, it just smells really bad, and like there's nothing wrong with oils. So you don't want to sell something and then 6 months people are like, oh, some people keep soap for for years because they don't want to use it. It's too pretty, which is understandable. So the testing process is not easy. So I actually had someone ring me up a couple of weeks ago, a new soap maker, and was asking me a few questions about insurance and having a business, and I don't know her, and not been to my class. Well, I don't think so. She didn't say so. And she's like, oh, I want to launch in a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, how cool. How long have you been making soap? Oh, I just started the other day. And I was like, you can't start selling so quickly. Even if you had been making soap for years, you can't sell, well, you can, and I'm sure people do it, but I would not advise to sell a soap that you haven't done due diligence and tested. Besides, it's your name behind it, and then you don't know who is going to touch that horrible piece of soap. When I was at uni doing art, we were said to destroy any work we hated because that we didn't like, weren't happy with, because you don't know who's going to end up with that piece of artwork, and if you're not happy with it, then you don't want anybody having it. So yeah, same thing. Anyway, so the testing process is quite a lengthy process, but it's something that I always do and I stick to. So where's my alcohol? Here it is. No, I'm not having a drink, even though it is Friday night. Got my isopropyl alcohol to stop soda ash. I might just do half just to see. I don't get soda ash very often. I don't know why. I'm less and less even using this on most of my soaps. Especially essential oil soaps. This is a fragrance, but essential oils, I find it just doesn't get soda ash, so I'm going to do half just to see what happens, because we're testing. So it's just isopropyl alcohol, so it's fine on my hand, but that's okay. Just see what it does to the flowers. So yeah, there's so many variables, and it is a chemical reaction that's going on there for the next 48 hours, up to a week, and then up to weeks and weeks down the track. So that is a chemical reaction going on for a while. So all sorts of things can happen, and variables and whatnot. So I need to mark which side I've done the alcohol. So it's the stem side. Stem side, so I'll write that in my notes. Anyway, that's my trial. I'm going to put that on the heat mat to force the gel, and then have a look in the morrow to see how it turned out. Thanks for joining me. Bye guys. See you soon.